Good evening. I will call this meeting to order. Tonight is Monday, November 1st. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Terrell County Board of Education. At this time, we will observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Our first agenda item is the approval of the personnel agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the personnel agenda? Ms. Robin has made a motion to approve the personnel agenda as presented. How do you vote, Ms. Janie?
Yes.
How do you vote, Ms. Robin?
Yes.
How do you vote, Mr. Carlos?
Yes.
How do you vote, Mr. Lee?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The personnel agenda has been approved. Our next item is the approval of minutes from August 2021, September 13th, 2021, and September 27th, 2021. Ms. Janie's made a motion to approve the minutes. How do you vote, Ms. Janie?
Yes.
How do you vote, Ms. Robin?
Yes.
How do you vote, Mr. Carlos? How do you vote, Mr. Lee?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The minutes are approved.
Madam Chair, Ms. Cloud, the equal text and I can't hear it.
Ooh. Then we'll go to the reordering of the agenda. Is there any reason to reorder this evening, Mr. Copley? Okay. So our next item is our public forum. This is where the citizens get to comment to the board. The purpose of the public forum is to afford the public the opportunity to address the board in 3 minutes on matters related to policy or general concerns. The board will listen and may ask questions to try to understand the matter being presented. As a general rule, the board delays discussion and/or decision until a later time. Since this is the only time on the agenda that the audience may participate in the board's meeting, if any person wishes to address the board, he or she should make it known by signing into the sheet on the corner of the table, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Things have changed now. We have addresses.
Okay, also in reflection of our policy, we also need addresses and phone numbers. No person addressing the board may refer to a student or employee by name, as they are protected by law from such and may only be discussed in closed session as governed by board policy and commonly recognized practice. If anyone has any questions, these guidelines are available from the superintendent. And with that, Ms. Janie, will you read the first name for us?
She probably can't read my name because it's very hard for me to write.
Okay.
It's been due so strong, she doesn't have an address or email.
Because my hand could write anymore.
We can note that as okay.
1998 was my name.
And this, I was gonna say, Ms. Dixon, if it's the same as in the system, we can mail anything from there.
We have a couple more too.
Okay.
All right, first of all, you know I can trip and really mess up things. So with that being said, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. But Thursday, September the 30th, do you know where you were at lunchtime, September 30th? I do. I was on the playground. I went to the office, well, let me read this. As far as I remember, can I pull this down the top?
That's right.
As far as I can remember, my first real school lockdown, this I'm not positive about, but I'm positive it is the first shooting in my life that I have ever heard a gunshot that actually shot someone. And I'm nervous, I'm sorry. 3rd grade, 2 teachers, and 26 children were outside the playground when we heard 5 shots. Pow, 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 pow. The 2 teachers looked at each other and we said we had to go in. The other teacher ran to the door and I gathered all the students up in line to go in. The students were amazing. They moved quickly and then we went toward the door. The other teacher had the door open till we got there. The door that we have to go in has a lockbox that we have to use a pad to get the key out of and then unlock the door. The door we have to go in is right at the fifth grade hall, which is right at the gate that was put up to protect us. So if intruders can come up, they can't just walk in. Now truly, if there was someone at the fence shooting, we were setting ducks. Third, fourth, and fifth grade, this is the only way we can get in the building. Yes, this has been this way for a while. And I have made comments about it before. We used to have to go out of the fence and then go to the front door of the building before getting the keypad. But I think hearing someone actually get shot while I was on the playground hit me hard. The very next day, walking in by Mr. Jimmy's office, I stopped and I talked to him about how hard it was to get inside the building. He went to work trying to get us help about getting inside. What I would really like to see is a badge to get in the door by the library. So we're not setting ducks trying to get into the building by the fifth grade hall. That shooting had nothing to do with the school, but it could have been, and we would have been in trouble. I know that the badges might be a little expensive, but after someone has been shot on the playground, then there could be a very expensive bill. Today's November the 1st, and we still don't have a key or a badge. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Armstrong, for the comment.
Next is Mr. David Ryan.
Good evening. Normally, when I'm standing in front of people to speak, it's a little bit different. Ms. Dixie, I want to thank you for your thoughts on that. I agree with your sentiment 100%, and I will go on record supporting that. However, tonight, I'm here to address a different scenario, and incidentally, I see that part of your agenda tonight is on the policy for face coverings. Without going into a whole lot of details about my current situation with my son, and everyone in here knows my son. My son, he's 12 years old. I don't even have to mention his name, and everybody knows who he is. He's a wonderful child. He's never been known to be a troublemaker. He's never been known to lie to anyone. I think it's safe to say that when you mention Henry's name, or when somebody mentions Henry, they say he's just Henry. Henry's a different child. With that being said, he's under attack. Not once, not twice, but 3 times he has been sent home under quarantine. 3 different times. Now, a little bit of history about Henry. Henry is dyslexic. We're very open about his disability. He's very dyslexic. On a wisdom level, he exceeds that of his age. Anyone who knows that or knows him can definitely agree with that. Wisdom, he spends more time with adults than he does with students of his own age. He'd much rather speak with adults. But he's under attack. The first time it was a joint. The entire 6th grade was quarantined. I get that. I understand that. The second time, not so much. He was singled out because he didn't have his mask properly affixed to his face. Piece of cloth is getting my child sent home. A piece of cloth is more important than my child's education. It needs to stop. Absolutely needs to stop. The third time he was sent home because of the bus, they pulled video to see that he was not wearing a mask on a bus. When I inquired about whether he was actually exposed for 15 minutes, because apparently the guidelines is within 6 feet for 15 minutes, I was told lies after lies after lies. Parents, I implore you, if your children are being sent home for quarantine purposes, ask the questions. Ask the proper questions. Ask about the length of exposure. Ask about how close the exposure was. Ask the pertinent questions, because I promise they're going to lie to you. This happened to us. a couple of times now. Tomorrow, I will be writing a formal request for the video. And I've already been told that I cannot get the video because of privacy issues. That is another bullshit on bold-faced lie. If I may draw your attention to, I'm assuming there's a lot of teachers in here, board members, you're all familiar with FERPA, the Federal Education Records and Privacy Act. This protects just such an occasion. Specifically, United States Code, Chapter 21 or 1232, subsection GA4A. It specifically states, and you guys can look it up and I encourage you to, that any video, it sets apart exactly what an educational record is. Everything that you as administrators or you as teachers do that directly affects my child is considered educational record. If a video is utilized to make a decision about my child, that video then becomes educational record, and I as a parent have a right to view that video and make a determination for myself. So under FERPA, I will be formally requesting the video. And I hope, for the sake of the school system, that my child is on a bus for 15 minutes or more. Because as of right now, he gets on the school bus here at the middle school and he travels over to the elementary school. Dismissal times are 3:05. Dismissal times at the elementary schools are 3:15, or excuse me, 3:20. That in and of itself is 15 minutes. There's no possible way that he could make it from the classroom to the bus, get off the bus, and be exposed for 15 minutes. It is a physical impossibility. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Councilor Hardison?
Hello, my name is Dr. Amber Gallup-Hardison. I'm here tonight in support of a friend. She has been a teacher at Terrell Elementary since 2003, where she has a record of being one of the most caring, compassionate, effective, and creative teachers in the school. I'm sure that if you were to ask students at Columbia High School or recent graduates to identify a memorable teacher in their school experience, they would say this teacher's name. In her years of service, she has had many achievements and has really devoted her life to improving Terrell County schools. Recently, however, she has been mistreated, harassed, intimidated, and bullied by district level administration. Her position with Terrell County schools has been threatened because instead of being indifferent, she cared. Instead of being neutral, she had an opinion. Unlike many administrators that have been hired by this board, my friend is, like me, a Terrell County native and will always care about people here. You see, when you are a product of the school system, you have a vested interest in its success. It is time that the board recognizes the value of hiring and retaining teachers and administrators that either grew up in this county, are third-generation graduates of Columbia High School, or have chosen to raise their own children here. Support these individuals. They are unlikely to leave the school system that molded them into who they are today unless they are bullied by an administrator. Very often, the administrator is just passing through our county for a year or two in order to improve their resume. I know this is true because it was my experience a few years ago myself here. In my dissertation research at Terrell Elementary School, one of the three most notable themes that emerged was a disconnect that existed between district level administration and the Terrell Elementary teachers. One teacher stated, "I don't feel like I have a say in what I'm being made to do. It's either do this or you're out of a job." Teachers at Terrell Elementary School, including my friend, should be respected and treated fairly. The North Carolina Board of Education's policy manual is clear in its code of conduct and ethics for school administrators concerning their treatment of teachers. The administrator should act fairly, consistently, and prudently in the exercise of authority with colleagues and subordinates. The administrator should also protect the rights of others in the educational setting and should not retaliate, coerce, or intentionally intimidate others in the exercise of rights protected by law. My friend should not be bullied or mistreated for exercising her right to freedom of speech. A teacher should never be allowed, or be afraid to have an opinion that is different from her administrator. I fear a world that does not allow one the opportunity to speak.
Until elementary school. Gerald County school system has been a part of my life for over 50 years. The school system has literally become a family that supports each other and works together to find solutions to problems that arise. A trait our system has always prided itself on. Not a perfect family. We all make mistakes. We're all human. But a family that works through these mistakes because we have a common bond. We share a lifelong desire to see that our children learn and grow as individuals in order to be successful in our world today. Never have I been more shocked and appalled by recent actions concerning your school. 6 weeks ago, punitive decisions were made and lives were turned upside down that drastically affected our whole student body and faculty. The entire school has had to suffer because of these decisions. I've been watching and listening to a distraught group of educators. They've tried to wrap their heads around the situation. Some of the words I've heard describe the feelings and reactions of these decisions. Ones I've heard are disbelief, paranoia, violation of rights, isolation, hurt, anger, mistrust, deceit, scared. Is this what we want to hear in an environment that's a learning environment for our children? No. This course of action that was taken has caused the entire faculty and staff to question everything they do, personally and professionally. This leads to a very tense and unhealthy working environment every day of our life, one that has lasting effects on both students and staff. The morale of our faculty is the lowest I've ever seen in my 50 years being here. I do not want our children to leave this year without reaching their potential growth because they were denied the education that the parents have entrusted us to provide. How can they achieve the best when the best have been taken from us? The expertise and abilities of the education we are missing right now is invaluable to our school system. Anybody can walk in a classroom and say they're a teacher, but not everybody can teach and reach children on their level and meet their needs daily. These are the people we need in our classrooms, and right now we're missing some key people. A permanent substitute, that's no answer for the situation. If you look at the curriculum, you know that the teacher that you need in there is qualified, experienced at that curriculum, has the ability to reach those children and understand where they are and what they need to be successful. Somebody off the street cannot do that. She is the one that can make the difference in the life of our students. The longer this drags on, the more the children are going to have to suffer, and the harder that gap is going to be able to be closed. We are here to fill that gap, and if you don't have the children as your number one priority, what is the priority?
My name is Steve Hopkins. At the board meeting on October 4th, I expressed my confusion over the transfer of the previous principal and the displacement of my child's fifth grade teacher. Last week, I sent an email to the superintendent to share my concerns about the current situation in my child's classroom, to which I have yet to receive any acknowledgement. Those children have been without their teacher for 3 weeks now and have not received any instructional learning in several academic subjects. The children have been in an unstable learning environment because the school administration failed to prepare a plan of action while their teacher was abruptly pulled out of her classroom. How can anyone expect children to learn when there's a different substitute every day? There should have been a certified teacher in that classroom providing instructional learning instead of just anyone who could be reached handing out worksheets and expecting children to understand it on their own. If the superintendent truly held the children's best interests first, he would have been prepared for the unknown. That's what a good leader would have done. The superintendent's top priority should be focused on how to provide the best education to the children, which means he should be fighting to find and keep the best educators available. A great leader would know he has valuable assets on his team. But as an outsider, would he really know that we already have some of the best? And some of the best were born and raised right here in this county. We've been so blessed to have so many educators return home to Columbia after their college graduation, not because Columbia has so much to offer, but they have so much to offer to Columbia. They return home to educate, to inspire, and to enrich the lives of the children in their community. And then we get lucky enough to have educators who come here and decide to plant roots in our small community. We trust these teachers to take care of our children's education, and I'm sure these teachers are trusting you to take care of them. Are any of you perfect in your job? I know that I'm not, but my supervisor shows me grace. Even though we don't deserve any of it, God wants us to give it. Did these educators do something that would hinder the children from learning? I highly doubt that. Now, that makes me wonder if the superintendent can distinguish the line between personal and professional. I don't really know. But I do know that these children need these women because they have a positive impact on our children. And as elected officials, you're sitting there because we all trusted you to do what's best for our children, your grandchildren, your nieces and your nephews. So we have faith in our school system. That's why our children are still here and not elsewhere. So please put all personal differences aside and make the right decision that will help our children receive the best education.
Those of you that have not been with us before, the noise is the EMS squad evening alarm. So it's just that nothing needs to happen, but they'll eliminate it. Anyone else that's saying?
Some of you know me, some of you don't. First times I've ever done this, you have to bear with me. My wife, I've tried to be a good man. Father. So with that being said, I'm reading this on behalf of the concerned staff at Terrell Elementary School. You're members of the board. We all heard the phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. At Terrell Elementary School, we're a big part of the village that brings up the children of our county. Each member of our staff has his or her own unique role to play, but our parts all work together for the betterment of our school and students. We're like a family supporting each other and working together. Even if we don't always see eye to eye, despite the changes happening all around us, we push forward. We're all that we can to make good things happen for our students. After all, they're the reason we're here. TES has a lot of good things going on right now. In addition to the normal day-to-day, our staff has spent a great deal of time working with the CARES DPI team this year to improve our practice. We have worked relentlessly to fine-tune lesson plans and expanding our knowledge of state standards, and have attended numerous training sessions, as well as introduced new curriculum support platforms and even a new reading assessment this school year. Weekly PLCs are being implemented, platforms, and even weekly PLCs are being implemented, and we are reviewing and using data to guide our instruction in the classroom. We're also working together to revamp our MTSS and SIT processes. An intern principal was recently added to our team, and he has jumped in with both feet to support the work that we've started. We say all of this to highlight the big areas of concern for our staff. Despite our amazing team at the elementary school, the lack and support and communication from our district administration is making our jobs extremely difficult. Decisions that are made at the district office directly affect our school but we often don't find out about those decisions until we're stuck cleaning up the mess that they left behind. The issue isn't that we can't handle these problems. In fact, our staff handles these issues incredibly well. Our problem is that we don't feel we should be expected to put out fires that we didn't start. We're quite confident the district office would rather we continue to handle them instead of making it their responsibility. We are spending a great deal of our time addressing issues that are not our responsibility. Transportation changes, substitute shortages, and changes in schedules, to name a few. On an almost daily basis, we are left to figure out what transportation changes have been made without our knowledge, which buses have been replaced with another, which buses may not be coming to our campus, or figure out what buses students need to be riding when buses are taken out of the rotation at the last minute. Not an easy feat when it comes to our district's youngest students. Since the sudden absence of our 5th grade ELA and science teacher, we have received little to no guidance from county administration on how the absence should be handled. For more than a month, and with no end in sight, the classroom has been a revolving door of substitutes, sometimes multiple people covering within the same day. The lack of consistency and instruction in the classroom is simply not conducive to learning to take place. These students are lacking instruction in 2 testing areas: English language, arts, and science. This one 5th grade class alone will make up 33% of the school's testing scores, and is an issue that we would like to see resolved immediately. In this 5th grade class and in other classrooms, our curriculum and supporting staff are having to substitute on a regular basis. This expectation communicated from the district is that we find coverage from in-house personnel, but this is simply unworkable some days. There is only so many people in-house who can be made available to substitute, and this means taking them away from their own duties on a fairly regular basis. Since our after-school tutoring program began in September, we have yet to have a regular schedule for when tutoring will or will not occur. Tutoring is something canceled without our knowledge, leaving students and teachers confused, and transportation issues when teachers don't get the memo that tutoring has been canceled. Issues like these and the general lack of communication are creating a poor working environment for our staff. We often feel as though we are deterred from bringing up issues such as these. We spend our days walking on eggshells, unwilling to bring forward our concerns because of what consequences may be. No employee in our work setting should be made to feel this way. We have devoted employees at TES to come to work every day to provide valuable instruction and support to our students. But we need supportive district administrators, and an open line of communication at all times to help our schools run smoothly. Thank you.
Right on.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to go on record to say that the ladies that spoke before me, I'm 100% with them. They've eliminated me having to say a lot of things on here. I like that. What I am going to say, and I'm going to read it because I don't like speaking in front of a group, is in my house, we're a family that likes to talk about school or like a day every night at the dinner table. My child is less and less excited to talk about it every night because she doesn't have a teacher. She has worksheets and a substitute, and I hope you guys will do something about that. It's unacceptable. It shouldn't be accepted in our school district.
Thank you for all who spoke this evening, and thank you all for being here for this meeting. We really appreciate the citizens being a part of our meeting. We appreciate everyone sharing their concerns. Thank you. Our next item agenda this evening is our commendations, awards, and presentations. And I believe we I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Holly.
Yes, ma'am. And I'll take a break if we can, in case we have some shifting, but if anyone needs to leave, as I walk up, you can do that, it's not a problem. So on this evening, we're recognizing, as we, every year with the month of October, we celebrate National Principals Month. And so on today, we're going to recognize, in addition to what we had done online, but also take a second to introduce 3 individuals here in our district. First one here is a young fellow that is here with us at this time, Dr. Wayne Talley. Dr. Wayne Talley, at this time, we'd like to recognize you for National Principals Month, for the month of October. Dr. Talley. Our next recipient is none other than gentleman, it's probably hiding something. There he is, hiding in the back. It's right funny, when I got here in 18, his hair was a little bit longer, but I guess folks would say the same thing about my hair 20 years ago. But Mr. William Bill Ziegler. And last round out the group is none other than our principal at our Columbia Middle School, Miss Linda Mathias. And as I did, I should have paused for a second. Ms. Mathias is just standing here. I'll give it to you. Anything that you would like to say, and we'll go back. I know that Mr. Ziegler is going back to the seat, but anything you'd like to say?
Thank you, I appreciate it. It's always an honor to serve.
Mr. Ziegler, anything you would like, sir? I know you,
Sir, just echo Mr. Price's thoughts, and, just privilege and honor to be here, be a principal and be part of this community, school. Thanks.
and Dr. Tyler, you'll leave you the same as well, sir.
Echo those two. I certainly thank this entire staff. They've really jumped on board and tried to help me. I appreciate your support. I think we'll get better every day.
And if we could, let's give our 3 principals a big round of applause.
Thank you, guys. It's always a privilege to recognize our administrators who are hard work every day. Next, we have our school reports. We're going to start with Terrell Elementary School with Dr. Wayne Hadley.
I'll be brief. We continue to make strides, and our staff continues to work together. We do have a lot of slots to fill, and we do have the same problems they have across the state, across the nation, getting substitutes, bus drivers, and personnel to fill positions. For an announcement, I would like to say that tomorrow we will begin a 2-day site visit. Our comprehensive needs assessment will be coming in from the State Department for 2 days. And there will be a team of 4. They'll be with us all day long, in and out of classes, up and down halls, in the cafeteria, in the gym, everywhere around the campus to assess our needs. So, and then other than that, and working hard to educate the children. That's all I have.
Thank you so much. Our next update is Columbia Middle School, Ms. Linda Mathias.
Madam Chair, Board, Mr. Holly. Just a few things going on at Columbia Middle School. Progress reports will be going out November the 10th for second quarter. We had full board conferences. We had about 60-30 face-to-face or phone conferences. Today, we began looking through our North Carolina check-in data. Had Dr. Head and Ms. Katrina Parker. They helped us look at the data and come up with some goals and to help start the teachers looking to create a action plan. We celebrated our honor roll students. We had six sixth graders, seven seventh graders, and 5 eighth graders that made honor roll. Principals list, we had 6 sixth graders and 1 seventh grader that made principals list. We're this year starting to recognize our CTE students. So our outstanding CTE students for Q1 was Andrew Collins in woodworking, and Joy English Bass Night in woodworking, Henry Johnson in health science, and Giselle Lopez in health science. So that's a recognition that we're doing. Professional development that we have coming up this week, we'll be attending the RISA conference. Several of the administrators and personnel that is a part of our district curriculum committee that works very closely with the CARES team will be attending the Ames conference. That'll be the end of November to December the 1st. And Dr. Heading and Ms. Parker are continuing to meet weekly with the ELA, math, and EC PLC group. I feel like we're being much more productive and laser focused on what we're doing now in those PLCs. Our CNX in visit is November the 16th and 17th. Also, I would like to report that 30% of our students are in some type of SEL group. That's either with LOL, Ms. Kaminsky has a group, Ms. Jasmine Sproul has a group, we have Save Club with Ms. Fox, and then also groups with Ms. Ebony Littlejohn. Basketball, we're up and working. We have a boys basketball team. Should be getting a list of the girls pretty soon, but our first game is November 17th against Fairgrass. So busy times at Columbia Middle School. So we're working hard to get our students prepared for next level academically as we start looking at our data more closely. So I'm excited about that. Any questions or concerns? I just want to say again, thank you for the fruit. I'm not sure if there's a underlying message that maybe I'm a fruitcake or something. I'm just saying.
No.
Thank you.
That's not it, Mr. Dawes, at all.
Our next school report is Columbia Early College High School, and that's Mr. William Siegler.
All right, I did see Mr. Price, he had more bananas than I did. Good evening, Superintendent Holly and Board of Education. Good evening, everyone. So for Columbia High School, we're going to be entering our second benchmarks for Math 1 and Biology. They start next week, November 8th. And we also moved to perseverance time, which is our intervention period. So that means 45 minutes every day. So we went from advisory period to dedicated perseverance time daily. We have an MTSS update. So if you recall, one of the areas that the critical needs assessment for the high school found was that we were lacking MTSS protocol. So Ms. Kaminsky and Ms. Carol Kelly actually already put together MTSS handbook for CHS. And also a matrix to go along with that to reinforce positive behaviors. This is still in draft form, and I know Ms. Kaminsky is going to talk about this in a little while with you all as well. But that's excellent progress for what our needs are. We have a CTE Honor Society banquet November 17th. We're going to honor 19 CTE students at Columbia High School. We looked at some Q1 grades. We have an outstanding success rate. This is for students that have passed courses. So for 9th grade, we have 65 students. I average about 4 classes per student. Out of those, we had 27 filling grades. So that's about 90% success rate. So that's pretty outstanding. 10th grade, 45 students, 4 classes each. 25 filling grades at about 86% success rate. For 11th grade, we had 38 students, and I average out 3 classes just because they're early college classes. We had 12 failing grades, 89% success rate. And then the seniors are really top notch. 44 seniors, I average about 2 classes per senior. again, because of the college courses. We had only 5 failing grades in the first quarter with the seniors, and that's a 94% success rate. So the students are really stepping up this year. I think they're just glad to be back in the classrooms and back to be around each other. Regarding COVID, Ms. Mecca has developed a nice protocol for CHS, makes things a lot more streamlined for just increasing our accuracy and our responsibility and efficiency. Athletics, as Ms. Mathias mentioned, basketball is up and running. It's important to have the right people in front of our students, and this year we have a great group of coaches. We have Mr. Gaddy, who's coaching the girls team. Kayshawn and Dayshawn Spencer, they're going to be coaching JV, and Mr. Vi Holloway is our varsity coach. And Ms. Adriana Spencer is returning for cheerleading with the basketball season. CARES team, last Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we had a site visit from the CARES team. Mr. Kramer worked with TES, their PLCs. We also had DPI math consultants come in and work with math teachers, all TES teachers, math teachers at CMS and CHS, and exceptional children teachers. Topic was increasing rigor. And then all other teachers at the high school met with Ms. Biggs and Ms. O'Kelly to talk about data analysis and what we're going to do with that data now that we got it. Wednesday, the 27th, DPI English consultants came to the district. And they met with CMS, CHS English, and all TSS teachers. And that was really about text complexity and increasing rigor. All other teachers worked with Mr. Kramer on differentiation. And then on Thursday, the DPI English consultants observed classrooms throughout the district. So moving forward, the CARES team, we have November 8th, I believe Ms. Mathias mentioned this already, curriculum council meeting, and PLC observations with TES. And then on November 15th, we're going to have district-wide PD after school 3:30 to 4:30. As we broke down TES and CMS CHS, and we have the ELA consultants coming in again virtually this time. And other news, the RESA Thursday and Friday, and then the AIM conference in Raleigh, where the Terrell County Schools team is going to be taking part in a presentation, just presenting our work with the CARES team and what we've done. So, any questions? Thank you all very much.
I'm gonna ask Madam Chair, it's kind of different to my superintendent update. I'm gonna ask Mr. Ziegler to stay in here for 1 second if you could. The board knows, but I don't know if the public knows. About 2 weeks ago, Mr. Ziegler got an email from North Carolina Virtual Partnership. Public schools, exactly. So it's a partnership, but it's our public schools. So in North Carolina, when we don't have teachers in a certified area, all of our students can take VPS courses at the high school. Because of the work that's been going on in our high school, Mr. Ziegler has been asked to come present in Atlanta at a national conference around everything that is going on in the high school, the early college. So I just want the public to hear that as well. He sent me the email and he kind of like, what you think? And I was like, Mr. Ziegler, you gotta go, you gotta go. So just looking forward to that opportunity for you to showcase the talents of yourself and the staff on a national level. So I just wanted to recognize that in front of everybody tonight. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you for those great school reports. Now we're into our director's update, and we'll be hearing, do we have a human resources and federal programs tonight?
No update today.
Okay.
What I will give you though is we've been working on the grant funding that has come in. Additionally, on top of that, even though it is federal funding, but it's also through technology. We just wrote a grant about 3 months ago. Ms. Curls has left a partnership with Johnston County Schools in Johnston County, North Carolina, and we were able to acquire part of a $900,000 grant. And so for that, because of our part, it's going to reach 14,000 students. From that, because of our smaller size and number, we're going to get a little less than $60,000 out of that 900 because they're a larger district. But this will allow us to upgrade our technology to be able to provide mental health support and additional services to our students through teleconferencing. So that's one of the updates that would have been in federal programs, but I'll share that information as it was in my update to the board as well. Yes, and if I could, at this time, I would like to introduce our interim HR director, Ms. Fannie Williams. Ms. Fannie Williams is going to be joining us. She is the former assistant superintendent in a neighboring county, but she's also a longtime educator in Eastern North Carolina. So we'll be utilizing her knowledge and her services for the next couple of, hopefully not a long time, but in the middle of our transition and our new HR director. So Ms. Williams, is there anything you would like to say on this evening?
No, I just look forward to working with everyone and meeting everyone and, being of great assistance to you all as you navigate through all that's happening.
Thank you and welcome. Next is accountability and EC. Is Michelle presenting today?
And I don't really her.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you may. We will skip at this point to athletics.
Sorry about that. Mr. Five's got the short end of the stick. She's sitting in grapes on her by me. So the recreation, first of all, right now as we speak, we have a softball team, 3 baseball teams playing, 5 soccer teams just finished this week. There was 119 kids at one time playing recreation sports. Very, if you go to a game, just hear the kids playing, that's what it's about. Just to hear them laughing and cheering and stuff, really good stuff. On the school side, we finished tennis, 3 volleyball teams, 2 soccer teams, and a football team just finished. As you're aware, the numbers on the football team, we had to shut that down a little bit earlier than we wanted to. We have the postseason awards for volleyball and soccer. Fall cheerleading, the conference Wednesday, we have a meeting. Also, the conference has agreed for us to name all academic teams this year. And I feel very confident we'll be represented very well. The principal mentioned that basketball skill development has started a couple of weeks back. We have 12 guys on the middle school boys team. There's 10 young ladies. Cheerleading squad's going to start in middle school. They got 12. There's 12 cheerleaders at the high school. 16 young ladies going out for basketball at the high school. And there's 8 JV and 13 varsity. As a whole, we had 79 kids at the school level. We stopped playing three teams and we just started playing 5. So one step forward, one back. November the 14th, we're going to have a little end of the fall tournament for the recreation baseball guys, the 10U teams. And November the 20th, we're going to have our first class for the public and anybody that's interested to become certified to referee and umpire games for the rec. And we do have a list that started already. Last Friday, Doug and myself met with City Lights out of Elizabeth City. Mr. Armstrong was asked us about looking into it. So that ball has started rolling. We looked at the bus garage and also the elementary softball field. That softball field's been redone. It's playable now. That's about it. There's a lot going on, but y'all just take a moment and just listen to them kids out there playing, laughing, having fun. As we speak for the board and Mr. Holly, when the kids are on the court playing basketball, they're not wearing their masks. On the bench, sidelines, stands, mask on. Cheerleaders, when they cheer, the mask comes down. When they're sitting, it comes back up. That's where we're at as we speak now. That's about it. Any questions?
Not a question, I just say it as well. Thank you for everything you've done, because I think we made history twice this year.
It was 3 times.
3 times. Yeah, 3 times this year by offering programs that we have never done. Mr. Mike Cole came and asked and said, Mr. Holly, what you think about this? What you think about this? I said, Mr. Cole, go ahead and make it happen. So I know for sure soccer. I know for sure.
Both soccer, middle school, high school, and tennis.
And then tennis. And so just thank you for all of that, and for those students that can go for the next 20, 30 years and say they were on the first ever soccer team and tennis team of Columbia High School
Yes.
and the middle school. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr. Cole. Thank you for all you're doing for our student athletes. Ms. Michelle Brickhouse for accountability and EC.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. With accountability, some of them have already talked about the first NC check-ins. We've held data meetings with all the principals, and they do have plans to address the needs found in the reports, and have started implementing them, and they get reports that shows class-wise, but it does break it down individually student by how they answer for each question too. So that's really helpful. And like Mr. Ziegler said, the high school's getting ready to do their second NC check-ins for biology and math 1. Pre-ACT will start next week for our 10th graders. And then the following week, November 15th, we'll be given the ACT work keys to select students in the CTE completers area. And then we are getting ready to start training the high school staff for EOCs, because that's coming up in December. For EC, we have November 17th through the 19th. 5 of us will be attending the 70th EC conference in Greensboro. And we'll be running back with the March. Looks like we some really good sessions there. That's about it for accountability in EC. Do we have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Brickhouse.
Just to let you know, this is the first year through Ms. Brickhouse, and I appreciate that we're doing the check-ins. Just to give you a little more update on that, instead of testing the benchmark, how we were doing it, and testing at the end, we were testing things that weren't even taught. And so now what we're doing is the check-ins with the pacing that we've updated. Teachers are able to test the students on what they've covered so you can see more immediate feedback. So those are the check-ins that she's referring to. So as the old folks used to say, it's not an autopsy. We're actually going in for our checkups and not trying to diagnose after we realize somebody's dead on the table. And that's, how folks in test accountability look at check-ins. It's that periodic until something, you'll see it mid-range that you can make the tweaks and changes. So thank you for being able to implement that for us and us looking at it more immediately instead of looking at it at the end of the school year.
Next up is child nutrition, Ms. Myra Schaffner.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I don't have a lot to report tonight, but I do want to say that we did celebrate National School Lunch Week on October the 11th and the 15th. We weren't able to do what we normally do, invite our parents and stuff out, but hopefully maybe as things get back to normal, we can do that later on in the year, just because they designate October 11th through the 15th National School Lunch Week. We can do it anytime we want to. Also, we're having our review team will be here November 15th. They're doing no on-site visits this year. Everything will be done here at the central office. It's a team of 3, possible 4 from DPI. There, I finished the first portion of the review where I have to upload information into the computer. They review it, and then when they come, part of the review is already finished. I'm having to take pictures, upload documents for them to review. So it should only be maybe a 1-day review, but normally they stay here 3 or 4 days. So it's going to be like 1 day. November 3rd, I have virtual training, our Summer Palooza, which is our annual summer field training. We'll be doing that virtual this year, and that's November 3rd. And I don't know if everyone is aware, but we have sort of a supply. We can't get supplies. It is so hard, So if you see the menu, and your child come home and say, well, we didn't have this. It's not because we don't want to feed it. We just can't get it. So we're having to make substitutions because things are just not available. We almost, we don't have trays, they can't get trays. I'm having to order trays from Amazon because our distributor don't have them. So just bear with us and hopefully everything will be back to normal soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is our student services, MTSS and TTE, with Sheila Kaminsky.
Everybody,
Good evening.
everybody, beautiful faces, friends and family out here. Got a lot of things to share. We are super busy. A lot of wheels turning, so I'll start with CTE first. We're continuing to work on a comprehensive local needs assessment. And in this process, CTE team has decided that we're gonna pull in some of our local employers to have a conversation about our students that are now as teenagers being employed. Talk about some things that maybe we can help support now for them to stay employed, as well as some etiquette that I think we need to work on. So we're trying to expand that, not just when they graduate, but what's going on right now. CTE finished pretty strong this first 9 weeks. 72% students at the high school take CTE courses at least one. We finished with an 83% pass rate of 70 or higher. We actually don't count 60 to 69, even though that's a D. We don't consider that passing in CTE. We have 10% of our students that actually have incomplete due to the fact that they actually have a project-based assessment. And then 7% of our students were 69% or lower. I think we actually had 4 kids out of the 148 total that actually did not pass this first 9 weeks. We did do a newsletter that will share with you and pass down. Mr. Stigler and Ms. Mathias kind of stole our thunder, but I have pictures. So our newsletter focuses on our students. We are recognizing our students as much as we can. I think Coach Cole said that our kids and our staff too need as much joy as we can bring them right now. The whole world does. But what I asked the CTE staff to do is I said, we've got a lot of really smart kids. I said, I'd like for you to pick one student in your classroom that is a model student. Is a great kid, citizenship, kindness, very responsible for the work that they do. And then they had a very difficult time doing that because there were so many. But I was really pleased to see that they picked some kids that really needed that right now. And so each of those kids received plaques and were really excited about it. I'm also on the back of that shared with you, as Mr. Ziegler said, November 17th, we'll have our first ever banquet for the Technical Honor Society. The students listed on the left, those are the students that will be inducted. Here is your official invitation. It's all free. We don't want anyone to have to pay for anything. These students get some National Honor Society swag, I guess is what you call it. It's for them to have when they graduate. But it is an honor. It's like beta for CTE. And the kids actually have to have accomplished a secondary or an upper tier level of a pathway, have an 85% or higher in all of their coursework. And they also have to pass whatever learnings at the end of the year. So some of the students on that list, they were pretty shocked that they made it, but we're very proud of them. They each get invite 3 guests free of charge, and we just would like, if you would like to attend because of COVID and numbers, if you'll just let me know, because we want to make sure that if they want someone there, they have someone there. We will have our fall fun day. Court and Mother Nature took it away from us last week. It's kind of hard to have petting zoo in the gym. So we decided to wait and roll it this week. Once again, this is not a money maker. This is specifically an event for the community, particularly our small children, because as I said, it's very important that everybody has some joy right now, and it's really hard to feel anything other than joy when kids are laughing. So we will have a number of things. We have to move it inside, but we'll have some games. Everything's going to be very cheap, reasonably priced. We'll have food, just some fun for the kids to come out. And we have some things for the older students as well, anybody who wants to come out. But I did want to make mention that student services will have tons and tons of clothing free to give away. We'll have hygiene items. We will have school supplies, and we will also have support information. So if someone right now during this time of COVID is feeling a little depressed, if they're feeling some anxiety, we've got some information to share with parents, with community, with students, of some resources that you can reach out to help support them. Our OCR audit is all done. All the pictures are done. The only thing we have now is that extremely expensive quote that you guys have to decide on for the sound system that goes in the auditorium or the gym for the hearing impaired. So I wanted to take this moment to say thank you, Mr. Doug. You and your department got that stuff up very quickly for our students, and I really appreciate that. The Summer Career Accelerated Program, I don't know if Mr. Holly has mentioned this to you or not. This is a small pot of money that was dropped down for us to put together something over the summer to inundate our students with careers, with certifications. Mr. Holly said that Ms. Laura Biggs, CDC, and I could work on that. We do have a plan we'd like to share with you at our next board meeting. It's one that will every day for 29 days straight, either put a professional in front of the students or the students in front of a professional. The whole entire thing is based on like an experience type of camp. And it revolves around health science and it revolves around education. We have a lot of students that are interested in the health science field. We have a few interested in teaching, not that many, but we are interested in the possibility of working with the high school and the middle school of getting a teacher cadet program, depending on the outcome of this, to, as it's been said tonight, kind of grow their own for those teachers. And this month is heavy CPR and first aid. We will be training and finishing up every student in the CT department. Freshmen through high school and even those middle school students will be CPR and first aid and AED trained under American Heart Association. So if you know anybody who needs it, we do it free of charge. And the only thing you need to pay for is a $5 card. Any questions about CTE? I'm gonna put you to sleep. Okay. All right, student services. I just can't commend that group enough. That's an awesome group of ladies in student services. We've almost all completed the PASS assessment. These quarantines are setting us back because we go, there's a benchmark and we can't do it, and then the next day somebody's quarantined. So we still have a few people that we need to get, but overall, I'd say 97% of the students have been assessed. Our social workers are holding weekly groups, and they do pull kids one-on-one as needed. Our counselors are doing social emotional lessons and character education lessons. Our high school counselor is diligently working where she's sitting with every high school senior and getting them enrolled in college. I think she's sending out pictures to where they have stickers that shows the number of colleges they've actually registered for. That's a very difficult process, and she's hand holding them right through it. We've had to call mobile crisis for one student this 9 weeks, and there was a very good outcome with that. Key Pam, the community liaison for integrated family services. I'm not sure if you guys were updated because they have to come so far to get to us when we call mobile crisis. They put in a telehealth option where a doctor responds to us with the student crisis, and they assess right there whether they need to call for more immediate emergency services. And if not, then they will give us therapy there or have a course of action there. If not, they drive down here to see the students. So that's working pretty well. Our school nurses are continuing to work on the COVID concerns and tracing. I think Mr. Ziegler had mentioned that Ms. Bassnight, Samantha Bassnight at high school, created a very seamless process. Sometimes the fewer people that are in it, the smoother it goes. And so we had a couple situations that occurred, and it was taken care of very quickly, very cleanly, and it was communicated very clearly. So I'd like to give her a shout out. Staff morale. Student services is responsible for tapping into the staff, as some people said. The thank you cards, each counselor will be taken in November, since it's the month of Thanksgiving. Thank you cards around to show the staff they appreciate them. I'm pretty sure there'll be chocolate, something sugary on that card. We will be having a staff and student cornhole tournament. And then we also put in a fall friendship exchange, which is like a secret Santa. But it's just, it doesn't have to be a gift. It could just be, I hope somebody's told you how awesome you are. I really appreciate the job you're doing. Just something fun to remind people how awesome they're doing. And then McKinney-Vento tutoring should end up on November the 23rd, but we actually have extra money where it started a month late because of not having buses. So we may actually be able to drive that on into Christmas. I need to look at Miss Carolyn because she's got to tell me the truth whether or not we can do it. So we're gonna work numbers and see if we can continue with that. And then finally, MTSS. Last thing we'll share with you. This is the rubric that Mr. Ziegler was talking about. I'd like to give Carolyn Kelly credit for that because she definitely thinks MTSS. The elementary school has a good solid handle on MTSS. They've got good professionals that have their paperwork in place. As Mr. Ziegler said, middle school and high school, because intuitively we need to kind of move that up the chain. We have developed a handbook, and a key to this handbook is communication with parents. Before anything moves forward, parents are communicating with. To make it easier, we plan on creating a flow chart for the staff with hyperlink documents in it where they click on something and it goes to what the staff needs to make it easy as can be. We'll have these matrices up in classrooms. We're printing them in-house. Last time we printed these, I think I was principal at elementary school, they cost us about $1,500. So we're just going to do them in-house. We have the machines to do it. And then we'll kick off January with some PBIS training. Ms. Kelly and I are both trained to do that for the staff. And then the final thing I want to share is MTSS. We're doing Our Kids Are Awesome campaign. Every staff member was asked to pick 10 kids to write a letter to send them home to Thanksgiving, to tell them how awesome they are. And we're like fighting over kids right now. So that was really, really awesome. Just to remind them that we really do have great kids and people that care about our kids. So that's it. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you for all you're doing for our students. Thank you for all the outreach you're doing in the community. It was, wow. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Our next item is COVID procedures review with Mr. Holly.
So, Madam Chair, at this point in time, this is where we would have to look at our master mandate as is still required. However, there is a couple of bills in the legislative looking at us having the opportunity to not have to go to this each month. So that's where we are with the COVID procedure there. So that's why that's there, so our face cover stands.
So may I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
Where do we stand with our quarantines, the number of quarantines we've had for the month of October?
I can pull that information up for you.
And are there any active quarantines?
Well, according to the report that we have online, because I
Oh, okay.
did not have opportunity to pull that information, so give me 1 second. Sure, bear with me. So as of current active cases, we're showing over recent data is showing 5 current active cases among students, and 0 with staff as of the last data that we have here.
We currently have students on quarantine.
1 second.
We do, they're saying yes.
We did, but I was going to try to give you more perfect numbers at this point.
Any other questions about COVID procedures? Is there an action that the member would like to make?
I'll make a motion that we continue to provide mask mandates.
Ms. Cheney has made a motion to recommend that we continue with our mask mandate this time. Is there any discussion?
I think, the open, cases in Carroll County, as well, we can switch to the option on campus.
Is there any other discussion?
I didn't hear Carlos's question.
Yes,
I said that I would like to see that, with the cases dropped in Carroll County, I don't see why we couldn't switch to a, optional, fake, mask wearing for campuses.
I agree.
Amen.
But Janie has a motion on the floor, doesn't she?
Yes, that's what I was going back to, that Ms. Cheney has a motion on the floor. Is any other discussion related to the motion? How do you vote, Ms. Cheney, for the motion?
Yes.
How do you vote, Ms. Robin? How do you vote, Mr. Carlos?
No.
How do you vote, Mr. Lee?
No.
And I vote yes, the motion carries. At this time, we are going to school plans, equipment, and fiscal affairs. And Mr. Doug Packer. Which I thought was outside. Oh, he's around the corner. Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just an update on a few things we're working on currently. We had our DPI, risk control specialists, do their yearly walkthrough of the buildings in the past month. Just go through and make some general fire safety recommendations at our buildings. I've since received that report. I forwarded that along to the principals along with general safety recommendations also, so that they can address whatever issues may pertain to their buildings. We also had our fire and electrical inspection done on October 14th. See your report on all that. As Ms. Sheila mentioned, we're finishing up with our OCR audit. I believe 92 things left for assisted lifting devices, and work started on the concrete walkway to the greenhouse today. They should finish that this week. Chiller replacement for the high school gym right now, still moving forward on that. Scheduled to be replaced over Christmas holidays. Bruce Monterey installing metal roofs on all the outbuildings at the elementary school this time. They're about halfway through those buildings. That we got gym floor scheduled to be refinished over Thanksgiving break. On that, just on the business.
Our next item is our budget report for our monthly financial report with Ms. Carolyn Simmons.
Hello, everyone. You have the budget report as of the end of October for your review. As you see on the summary, we had 4 budget revisions come down from the state. Most of those are those federal allotments that Dr. Boone told you about at the last board meeting, the applications that are processed. We haven't received the full amount of appropriation, but as the money is dropping in, we'll see more and more of those revisions. We got our Title I money, initial allotments for Title I. We've also had our remaining money from our ESSER II funds, the 1.8 million. The rest of that money dropped in. Our early college funds, $200,000 that we get annually, that's dropped in. We also received K-8 literacy money of $2,000 for that, and more ESSER money for a summer school nurse
position so that Ms. Bassine can continue through the summertime. And we had child nutrition, retention bonus information, and renewal of our Canvas subscription. There are, as Sheila mentioned earlier, the summer career accelerator funds, $12,000, that dropped down. We also have an additional $17,000 for learning loss funds that are available for summer use. So all of those are federal dollars. We're still waiting on that state budget. No, we do not have a state budget at this point. And so we were notified last week that any allotments that affect salaries and benefits are on hold. We won't see any of that money drop down. See any kind of state funds, maybe small pots of money that I mentioned earlier, like the literacy funds, that'll start coming in, but nothing in salary and benefits. So just as a reminder, we're still working on the continuation budget based on last year's information. Certified salaries for teachers, counselors, social workers, school nurses, administrators, all are frozen at the 2021 rates. And some of those were frozen from the year before too. So you talk about 2 years for some categories.
And I saw that they in a report, they said if we don't get this budget passed in time, we could possibly lose as a state another $132 million to public school funding. So anybody's got to be cool to call somebody. We need to try to go ahead and get this done, because the longer it goes on, the less money is going to come down from the state to a smaller school systems and larger districts.
So that's where we are right now, so we're waiting on that. Just an update on our classified salary schedules. The board approved that, moving from that 37 step to the 30 step. All of those salary information letters were sent out to classified staff. Back pay, if it was any that was due, was retroactive to July 1. All that's been completed. So we're on the regular, starting this month, on the regular pay schedule, and going forward until we hear what the state's going to do. We might come back with some changes. Right now, I did get a preliminary report from the auditors, and right now there's no findings, no compliance issues. We are going to have one issue with it's going to be a management letter, but it will not affect the audit itself, and that has to do with athletics and the concussion protocols that are in place. But it's just a management recommendation going forward. So what I'll be doing the rest of the week is finishing up writing that audit report, getting that information to the auditor. The next thing the board will need to think about is when they would like the auditors to come and present the report. There's new requirements this year where the date of issue of the audit report and the time that it's presented to the board is limited to a certain number of days. So as soon as I get that report completed back to the auditors today, because there's a section in the audit that I have to write that goes along with their report. When that's done, then I'll let you know, and then hopefully we can get that report done before the end of the year, maybe at the December meeting. Depends on how much I can get done the rest of this week.
And just to clarify on that concussion protocol, from what we found out, the steps that we put in place years ago, what got us this time is I think we had 3 coaches that when they signed the form, the date was outside of the window that we were required to have the coaches to sign the form. So Ms. Hales and Mr. Cole have already jumped on top of how we'll make sure that that's not the case moving forward.
Right, and the other thing was there was no documentation of the distribution of the emergency action plan, even though everybody was given the plan. There was no document that was signed that they could produce that everybody received it, and there was a signature on file. So those are, Mr. Collins said, we've already talked to Mr. Cole about that what we need to do is document. Normally this is something that would be under a financial report, but it's a way for auditors to check it because they know they're going to be looking at records, and so it's included in our financial audit. Questions about any of that?
I have a question about the revisions 10, 11, 12, and 13 are all forward. Are there time, those have to be expended by June 30th, or are they going to be extended?
Which ones?
It's the ESSER2 money. Is
There are the ESSER2 money.
Yeah, there are.
We have several pots. ESSER1 money expires in December of this year, and then we'll have ESSER2 money that will be in 2023.
Okay,
And then ESSER3 will be 2024. And so those are the larger pots of money. We're also seeing little small pieces of like ESER two funds that are being added, but they're so small that we're gonna probably spend them this year.
But we have, it doesn't have to be, the ESER two money does not have to be expended by June 30th. It will continue as until the fiscal year. Thank you. Are there any other questions for the budget? Thank you, Ms. Carroll. Sorry, take me a minute to scroll back up. Our next item is going to be face mask policy. Thank you. Disappeared on the screen. The next is our policies for face coverings. We need to update policy number 4231/5021/7263. And we have to change it since we already have our option A. We're not making any changes. Okay. Is there an action for the board member to make a motion to say with option A for our face covering policy? Ms. Cheney's made a motion to stay with option A for our face covering policies. Is there any discussion? How do you vote, Ms. Cheney? How do you vote, Ms. Robin? How do you vote, Mr. Carlos?
No.
How do you vote, Mr. Lee?
No.
I vote yes. It will stay with our policy number 4231/5021/7263. Is there any other item?
The only thing, Madam Chair, and I apologize that I forgot it, and it's something that I would like to have further conversation with the board around, is you may have seen around the state recent couple of weeks, school boards have taken a look at their calendar. So I would like to have a greater conversation with the board through email, not this time, but to look at us at the possibility of us allowing to change our schedule for Friday the 12th. As we have several things going on. One, we have a conference that many of our administrators will be going to, certain staff members in the district, but I would like for us to have greater conversation around that just because our teachers and staff are tired. Some districts have looked at changing the whole calendar for Thanksgiving. Some districts have looked, since we already had a calendar that was built out for the 11th for Veterans Day. I just would like to have greater conversation. I do apologize, I didn't get with you earlier about that. But as you see fit as a board, I would like to have greater conversation to see if we can give our staff and our families, quite honestly, that moment of deep breath. This year has been crazy. I spent the whole entire weekend submitting a summer school report, just talking about the hours that we had to do off of mandate summer school. And everybody in this room, the board, and I'm sure all the staff members here, when we heard about that mandated summer program we had to do, that took everybody's summer away. And so the fact that teachers and staff and students and families didn't have the summer that we had, we're feeling a lot of that right now. So just want to throw that, and I apologize, like I said, I didn't give it to you beforehand, but we'd like to have a conversation about that in the next couple of hours or days, looking at that.
I think everybody would be okay with that, with looking at that. Anybody had any objections to hearing about that via email? Okay. That'd be great, Mr. Holly.
Other than that, Madam Chair, there's nothing else that I have on the matter.
Okay, and then we're to the superintendent's report.
All right, so our legislative report, I'll thank Ms. Carolyn that she gave a lot of it. Right now, it's budget. We do not have a state budget. The last report that I heard this morning, that we're getting closer, as I stated, the longer it goes on, the more money we're gonna lose for public school funding. So as always, I'll remind you to take a look at those 60-second legislative updates that you get from our School Board Association and also from NCASA, as they have outlined a lot of things that are going on around the legislative report coming out of Raleigh. The other thing is you see meetings and our seminars, as the principals talked about earlier. We have several staff members that will be attending the Northeast Recent Fall Conference that is taking place on the 4th and 5th right here in Kitty Hawk down the road. It is the first year that we've been back in face-to-face. I'm looking forward, excited as I get the double duty this year, of being the chair of the RISA. And because of some movement with a past superintendent, I now had to be the chairperson for the conference. So talk about burning it on both ends. So I'm looking forward to the conference to be over. Also, as you know, our North Carolina School Board Association, our conference is coming up in Greensboro on the 11th and the 12th. There's one other date as I'm leaving here this evening, as I have to present to the state school board in the morning around our support with the CARES Act team. So that will be, if you're able, you can click on to the state school board link on tomorrow. I have a meeting before then, but then I also have that meeting tomorrow in Raleigh. Other things that you see as far as dates here, I just want to bring to your attention the Veterans Day, as we recognize all of our veterans. And I see one of them that's controlling the computers tonight. I think he's our special veteran, but I'll let him, Mr. Armstrong, stay out there. But also the optional workday for staff as we get ready to come upon our Thanksgiving holiday is 24th, 25th, and 26th. As I said earlier, recognize Mr. Ziegler for his opportunity to present on a national scale. And Ms. Kaminsky, if she's still, Ms. Kaminsky, where is Ms. Dawes? I couldn't find her. She's presenting as well nationally. Where is she traveling to again? Ohio, that's where it was. So she was able to present at a national conference as well. And I apologize, I didn't have that. As we discussed earlier, I want to give a big shout out to our tech team, Mr. Wesley, Mr. Brickhouse, and Ms. Curls, and the Johnston County Superintendent, as we partnered in that grant that I was telling you about with USDA. There's an article that should be coming out in the local paper, Coastline Times, and some other ones around that partnership and the ability for us to have almost $60,000 to our district as a part of that. Also, the last couple of things is just reminding folks, I understand and definitely last numbers that we looked at this morning, we have 2,600 vacancies in the state of North Carolina for teachers. We're looking at out of that 2,000, almost 1,085 of those are just in K through 5. We just had a conversation this morning looking at the state is pushing, quite honestly, I don't want to say that we're grabbing people from everywhere, but since August 5th issued 3,306 emergency licenses to try to find individuals to go into the classroom. Last call, knock on wood, we were sitting at almost 1,282 vacant bus routes in the state of North Carolina. I was on a call the other day, Anson County, they run 60 buses on a normal year. He's only able to run 40, and they're doing what they call stack routes. Wake County is running 3 routes a day. So bus drivers are clearing 8 hours a day just driving a bus. They'll drive from one school, they'll pick up another school, and then they'll double back around. So they're stacking 3 routes. So, you know, I understand we're trying, and thankfully we've been able to have some online courses and get some additional drivers in. So hopefully that will sustain us moving forward. And just one other thing in closing, and this is to the point, and I know we don't address, but this was one of my notes as well, to Ms. Dixie Armstrong, as she was speaking earlier. Yes, our key situation in getting in that building is something that we have to address. As soon as we had that, we had a meeting with Officer Shelton. He got in contact with Mr. Doug Patrick, and we started looking at how we can do it. Ms. Brown, I think she left. We actually spared her class one day because Mr. Shelton was trying to prove a point of how in the midst of a panic, trying to punch that code in is very hard. And he was shouting at me, and I was fumbling, and the kids were looking, they thought somebody was, I was getting beat up. But it is something that we have to look at. And I will tell you that Mr. Doug and his team has already looked at it. The thing that I caution us on is just issuing the master key. Because what happens is for anybody to get in that door, we have to issue a master key. And then with that master key, we would have individuals, you would have keys to other rooms in the district. So our locks are not key to a point where we can just issue a key for that door, but we are looking at a way to try to go ahead and hurry up and get that, because that is a safety concern. Not even that door, but one thing that Mr. Shelton brought to our attention was the fact of the pre-K side. And we also called the company, one thing that we did not know, and Mr. Shelton said the same thing, that if we lost power, those keypads do not work. And so that's one thing that's of great concern to us is right now, because we have power, if we lose it, that pad does not work to give you access. So we are looking into that and other things, but you are 100% correct. as soon as that was over, Officer Shelton called, and it was something that was a concern. So thank you for bringing that to us as well. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
With that being said, I have gotten an email that children needs to address, so I'm making a motion that we go back into closed session under GS 115C-319, as well as GS 143-318.111, parentheses A, parentheses 3, personnel issues and attorney-client issues. So I've made a motion and I vote yes for my motion. How do you vote, Mr. Lee?
Yes.
How do you vote, Ms. Janey? Yes. How do you vote, Ms. Robbins? How do you vote, Mr. Carlos? Okay, at this time, we're going to go into closed session. Thank you all for attending this evening.
Mr. Scripture, I think we're gonna contact you on a separate line. I'm here to close this out.
Okay,
Yes, we'll call him.
all right.